if you were living under a rock and you somehow missed the conversation between Jordan Peterson and Elon Musk, there's a clip going around that is really devastating, especially if you're a parent. And Elon Musk talks about having his dead son, Xavier, and that was shocking when I heard that, because I know he lost a baby earlier on, but I figured it would have been public knowledge if he lost another child. And he goes on to explain how his son transitioned into a girl. And during an interview with Peterson, he is very vulnerable, and he explains his mission to defeat the quote woke mind virus, because in his words, they killed his son, because figuratively speaking, it's dead naming, because that child is dead and now they're something else, and everything that you kind of thought they were and who they were going to be is kind of washed away and turned into this other thing. He explains that he was misled into consenting to puberty blockers for his child, which he referred to as sterilization drugs, which is true. And the pushback that I've seen online is people saying that these drugs are reversible and there's going to be no long-term consequences. It doesn't affect fertility or sexual function. It doesn't permanently affect your voice. All of that's not true. If you just take the time to look at any detransitioner and their experience, a lot of times their voice is permanently affected. Certain features will be permanently affected. Their fertility will be permanently affected. And then their sexual function will be permanently affected. And because of that, I don't understand how we are allowing minors to do this. The rest of the world has hit the brakes. They say something is wrong here. This is not the right decision for children. There's an age of consent for a reason. Circling back to the importance of that, you can't get a cigarette or a tattoo. You can't smoke weed. You can't have alcohol. You can't join the armed services. You can't get married. There's like a lot of those things I just named are pretty inconsequential. You have one cigarette, it's not the end of the world. You have one drink, it's not the end of the world. You get married, you can get a divorce. You get a tattoo, you can get that removed. So a lot of these things there are solutions for. Some of them might leave a little bit of a mark, right? Like you're going to have a scar from the tattoo. Hormone therapy is no joke. No joke. And one of those drugs is Lupron. And when I found that out, I almost fell into my seat. So when I was 19, I had really severe endometriosis. Like I would look 8 or 9 months pregnant, my swelling would be so bad. I was in a 9 or a 10 on in pain constantly. Walking was hard, breathing was hard. I was exhausted. I could not have sex because it was so painful, and I just felt like I was dying. So I had a laparoscopy. They took out what they could of the endometrial tissue. Anyone that has had an endometriosis knows that usually comes back, and it'll come back other places. So that didn't really work long term. So I was 19, and again, like, so I talk all the time about moving the age of consent for certain things to 25, because I still think 18, 19, you're not even close to being done. Again, new research is saying your frontal lobe isn't done till 25 or 30. So 18, there's still a lot missing here when it comes to executive function and making long-term decisions and making them well. I was offered Lupron as part of a clinical study to help with endometriosis. And what that did is put me into menopause. So I was at 19 years old and I was in chemically induced menopause. My joints hurt. They were the achiest. It felt like I was getting arthritis. My skin started to dry up, and it started to age. Everything down there also got dried up. I had zero sexual function while I was on the medication. I would have my shot and be zapped for days. For days. I had no energy. I could barely get up. And when they deliver the medicine, this was at the time at least, they deliver it on ice, and they give you a sign for your door, and it was this bright yellow sign, and I'll never forget it. And you put it on your door, and it says, "I might be too sick to answer the door. Please leave the medication." And that's how sick this medicine can make you. I had no idea. I just went in, they're like, "This is gonna make you feel better." Got a shot in the butt from the doctor, and it just wrecked me, and there ended up being a class action lawsuit from this clinical trial with the women because people were experiencing bone loss, they were having issues with their fertility, they were having issues with their hormones, they were having issues getting their period back, they were having issues with their joints, hair falling out. It got really gnarly. So there was literally a class action lawsuit. So to pretend this drug has no consequence and we can just give it to a minor because they have gender dysphoria, possibly, and I say possibly because now in a lot of states it's not required to even look into that. We just have to affirm, and it's life saving affirmative care. So we're not even properly assessing these individuals to see if they actually have gender dysphoria. We're just affirming because people don't want to lose their license. And then we're haphazardly giving them a drug that could ruin the rest of their life for something that they might grow out of. And according to some research, a 90% chance that they will grow out of it post puberty. So this is crazy. And I think it was really brave and really brilliant that he was willing to be so vulnerable and share his personal story as a parent, and as a parent that says it seems like he made the wrong decision because he was pressured and given false information from medical doctors. And I think one of the great things that has happened since COVID is so many people are waking up that just because someone has a white jacket doesn't mean you trust them, doesn't mean they know what they're talking about, doesn't mean that they did their own research. It just means that they went to medical school, they're good at passing tests, and they know something in one specialized area. And they're probably getting paid on the back end from a couple people. So always do your own research. Always read up on drugs and side effects and healthy alternatives, natural alternatives. Also look at the benefits. I'm not saying that there's not benefits to modern medicine, but I'm saying we have been on this rat wheel of this is the only way to get better, is a prescription, is a drug, and it's not all of these other things. And it's not looking at the root cause of a lot of these problems, and then we wonder why we're so sick and we're not getting better. So you have to be your own advocate and take your health into your own your own responsibility, because no one else is going to do better research than you are, than a sick person. If you know anyone that has been chronically ill, that patient, that mama, that papa, no one knows anything more than that family, because they are in the thick of it and they're trying to get better. And oftentimes they're more privy to cutting edge research and alternatives than doctors themselves, because a lot of them are overworked and they're part of the system where they're supposed to see someone for 15 minutes and move on. Cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. So I love seeing the dissent. I love seeing people questioning authority and people questioning the quote professionals. And I think that Elon sharing this story is huge. And anyone that has anything negative to say about it, it's like, how dare you? It's his story. It's his story, and he's a father, and he's sharing something that's really painful for the benefit of other people. So I think it's beautiful, and I commend him. I wish Jordan would have let him talk a little bit more, because it was obviously a very emotional story, and Jordan just like kept adding his 2 cents and kind of walking on it, and it would have been a lot more powerful if Elon was just allowed to talk. It's Elon. Let him run. Like, take the bridle off. Musk also mentioned that his daughter legally changed her name and gender in 2022, and since then has distanced herself from him. That's unfortunate, and hopefully they come around. Musk's remarks have sparked significant debate and controversy, highlighting the ongoing tensions around the issue of gender identity and medical intervention for transgender youth. His vow to destroy the woke mind virus underscores his commitment to opposing these practices and advocating for more stringent control and regulations. Duh. Yes. Every sane country is doing that right now. For some reason, we've made a decision and we don't want to say, oops, maybe this should slow down, pause, break, and let's look at some of the data. Let's see what's actually happening here. Musk added that Xavier was actually born gay and autistic. Both of those things, it has been shown in Abigail Schreier's work and Deborah So's work that a lot of these misdiagnoses that happen early on can happen from people that are on the spectrum, because they tend to get obsessed, especially with this idea of gender. And also that 90% of the kids that are experiencing some kind of discomfort are actually just gay. 90%. So to me, like, it's the most homosexual thing in the world is to say you can't be gay. You're not gay, you're actually just the other gender. That doesn't make sense. I would figure that a lot of the gay community would actually be pretty upset about that, because you're mutilating people for being gay, essentially. So Vivian Jenna Wilson, formerly known as Xavier, is challenging these comments online, saying that her estranged father is making up these stories. I would believe the father in this case.